Most people believe Viking structures vanished because wood cannot last, yet the evidence says otherwise. Across Scandinavia, timber from Viking-age ships, halls and stave churches has survived storms, salt, insects and centuries of moisture. These were not accidents of preservation. Vikings developed a deliberate system that made wood behave more like stone than fibre. The trick was not a single coating or secret recipe. It was a disciplined method that attacked decay at its biological roots, long before construction even began. Vikings treated wood as a living material that had to be killed correctly. The first step happened in the forest. Vikings harvested trees almost exclusively during deep winter. Sap levels were at their lowest, sugars were withdrawn into the roots, and insects were dormant. This mattered because rot fungi feed on sugars and starches, not cellulose. By cutting at the right time, the Vikings removed decay fuel before the log ever reached a shoreline or workshop. A practical application today is simple. If you cut your own timber, fell trees in winter, and avoid fast processing, let the wood stabilize naturally instead of rushing it into sealed environments. Water was used to remove rot rather than cause it. One of the most misunderstood Viking practices was log soaking. Ship timbers, house beams and posts were submerged in cold seawater, rivers or bogs for months and sometimes, even years. This process leached soluble sugars, tannins and starches from the wood while leaving the structural fibres intact. Contrary to modern assumptions, water did not weaken the wood. It purified it biologically. When the timber was later dried slowly, fungi found almost nothing to eat. A modern equivalent involves submerging untreated wood in cold water for several weeks, followed by long air drying under shade with constant airflow. Drying was slow, controlled, and never forced. Vikings never kiln-dried timber. Rapid drying creates these tiny micro-cracks that, trap moisture later on. Instead, wood was stacked off the ground, protected from direct sun, and allowed to dry gradually over the course of several seasons. This preserved resin distribution and prevented internal stress fractures. The result was timber that absorbed and released moisture evenly rather than, rotting from trapped damp pockets. Anyone seeking long-lasting wood should avoid accelerated drying whenever possible and, allow lumber to season naturally. Fire hardened Viking wood without sealing it. Surface charring was one of the most powerful Viking tools. By lightly burning exterior faces of posts, planks and ship components, they removed surface sugars, killed insects and closed capillaries without blocking vapour movement. Charred wood sheds water faster, resists biological attack and honestly does not crack like modern sealants. This was not decorative. It was structural preservation. So, to apply this today, you would use controlled charring on things like fence posts, cladding, or ground contact beams. Just remember to brush away the loose char. but keep that hardened layer intact. It's really important. Viking construction, actually denied rot the environment it needed to take hold. Viking buildings always assumed water exposure and, well, they planned for it. Posts rarely touched the soil directly. Instead, stone pads, gravel beds and raised sills interrupted moisture transfer. Roofs extended far beyond walls, Joints were shaped to shed water rather than trap it. Modern construction often seals wood inside assemblies where moisture inevitably enters but cannot escape. Vikings did the opposite. They allowed wood to breathe continuously. The lesson is structural. Design assemblies that drain, ventilate and dry rather than relying on chemical barriers. Tar was used sparingly and strategically, not as a cure-all. Pine tar was applied only where prolonged exposure demanded it, such as ship hulls and roof shingles. Even then, it was renewed regularly and never used to trap moisture inside wood. Tar worked because the wood beneath was already biologically inert. Applied prematurely, it would have sealed in rot. But, applied correctly, it extended service life dramatically. Modern users should remember that coatings amplify preparation. They cannot replace it. Maintenance was built into the system, not avoided. Viking structures were inspected constantly. Failing boards were replaced early. This is, honestly, one of the hardest lessons for modern builders. Durability does not come from neglect-proof materials. It comes from systems designed to age honestly. Why Viking wood achieved near immortality. By removing nutrients, controlling moisture, allowing airflow hardening surfaces, and respecting maintenance, Vikings broke the rot cycle entirely. Fungi, you see, could not establish colonies. Insects found no reward. Moisture moved freely instead of stagnating. The wood did not resist nature. It cooperated with it. That is why Viking ships survived burial. That is why stave churches still stand. And well, that is why this method outperforms many modern solutions even today. If you value serious historical knowledge that still works in the real world, subscribe to History Vault, share this guide with fellow builders and historians, and help keep these proven techniques alive for the next generation.